Tonight, to declare or not declare a state of emergency, President John Mahama's Bole Constituency becomes a hotspot for illegal mining activities, wreaking havoc on Ghana's Black Volta River, leaving it discolored and posing significant threat to farmers and thousands of residents who rely on the river for drinking water and daily survival.
Because the fauna and flora of the water is destroyed as a result of this illegal activity. It is a major distraction there. We also destroy some number of Jamfa machines, about 9 of them. Just because I'm in the present, but it is a battle that he's fighting.
Meanwhile, desperate rescue efforts are underway to reach illegal miners buried under a collapsed pit, with 9 already recovered, 5 lifeless, and 4 fighting for survival. We'll hear from the Energy Committee, which is now calling on national security to ward off illegal miners and encroachers on critical gas pipelines for GRIDCo and the VRA.
The lines have been encroached total. So WAPCO is even scared of increasing the pressure on the gas pipeline to bring us more gas into the country for us to use.
Is concerned to do the members of the Energy Committee. And therefore we are appealing to the national security as well as the military to take charge.
We have details for you here on Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel, connecting energies, and also by Shield Pension Trust. Into the future with you. Well, tonight, President John Mahama's Bole Constituency has become a hotspot for illegal mining activities, with the Black Volta River bearing the brunt of the destruction. Now, the once clean water is now discolored, posing a significant threat to farmers and thousands of residents who rely on the river for drinking water and daily survival. Heavy equipment, champagnes, and pumping machines used by illegal miners have damaged arable lands as well. Now, fisher folks who depended on the lake for their livelihoods have been chased out, leaving them without a source of income. Now, the pollution of the Black Volta River poses serious health risk to local communities, including, of course, the potential for chronic diseases like kidney failure, birth defect, and cancer. Now, in response to the crisis, the district chief executive for Bole has taken a decisive action, storming the illegal mining areas and destroying some of the equipment used by the illegal miners. Rebecca Nantoma was with the task force and joins me with more details on this particular one. Rebecca, thank you for joining us here. Now, paint a picture of how the Black Volta was looking like when you arrived at the scene.
Okay, when we arrived at the scene at Babato, near Bamboy, realized that the water was very muddy. And it's so sad seeing the water that was mainly clear. You can even fetch it and drink, wash your white clothing. But when we arrived at the scene, the Black Volta at Babato has turned very muddy. You can't even see anything on it, maybe being fishing and other aquatic things in the water. It's very muddy. And when you touch it on your palm, excuse me to say, somebody may say it's a makeup, because how it has turned into muddy, when you use it, you can even paint your walls or your building. And that is why the DC have taken it into his hand that any machine the tax force is, they have to destroy it. And most especially after the time we got to the scene, we realized some people were still in the middle of the water. The machines were working. And the moment they heard the convoy, the sound of the vehicles, they started fleeing into the bushes. So as we speak, the water is very bad. You can't even fetch it to do anything. We're just hoping that in the coming days, the water is going to be clean. That is when the illegal miners have vacated the area. If not, nothing can be done about that particular water, because fishermen along that area have also vacated, because the fishes around that area cannot even have their own safety. So the fishermen have taken into their own hands that if that is the case, they can't fight the illegal miners unless government and the Bole district assemble. That is why they have vacated the place, because they don't have any other option than to relocate, leaving the illegal miners to use their machines on the water.
Now, Rebecca, you say that when you got there were some illegal miners, and when they heard the sounds of the cars, they started fleeing. Were there any arrests?
There is no arrest as we speak. Nobody have been arrested. But according to the DC, Abdullah Mohammed, he's saying that very soon they are going for another operation. And this time round, no matter whom you are, and you can't even hide on trees, they will make sure they get you, because he believed that those who flew from the machines that were still operating may just be on nearby areas. But because the task force doesn't know the bushes, that is why they couldn't trace these people to get them arrested. So nobody have been arrested. The machines have been destroyed, and other equipment have also been destroyed.
Okay, Rebecca, I'm grateful to you. Rebecca Nantoma there is our lady on the ground there. Let me bring in now the District Chief Executive for Bole, Abdullah Mahmoud, who is joining us on the phone lines now with more details. Abdullah, I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining here. Now, this apparently isn't new, but appears to have gotten worse. Rebecca is explaining the reason why there were no arrests. What's the strategy then to try and rid this river of illegal miners and possibly arrest some people?
Yeah, it's a process that we intend to sustain for a very long time till we see that the water bodies are cleared. The government some weeks ago deployed some water guards who are dotted around the river banks. So we are just taking these steps, ward them off, and in order to sustain them, we'll put them to duty, and they will be the watchdogs over the area.
So your water guards have not started work yet?
Yeah, because of their commissioning. But this, I went with them, and they were very instrumental in getting us the locations of these machines to destroy.
What's the assurance that tomorrow we will not wake up and see the miners on the river again?
As I said, it's a process. We will continue to sustain it as at when it is necessary, and we see them that they are coming back, we will continue to fight it. So, for the water bodies, we are resolved, and we are going to clear it off illegalities.
So were men placed there, are men there as we speak?
As I said, I just went there with the DISEC to raid them off. And the DISEC is in Bole, and from here to the place is about 72 miles, which obviously we cannot position them there 24 hours. So we will continue to monitor. As and when we hear that they are in the water bodies, we'll go after them.
Why was this operation not undertaken by NIMOS? Because we were told that was to regulate how these, or coordinate how these efforts against illegal mining are undertaken. That
I can't speak to that. I'm in charge of the DISEC, which are available for me to use. Okay.
All right. We'll see, and we will be keeping an eye on how this particular one goes. So thank you for joining us here. That's Abdullah Mahmoud. He's a DC for Bole there. But in the Ashanti region, desperate rescue efforts are still underway to reach illegal miners buried under a collapsed pit, with 9 already recovered and 5 of whom are lifeless as of the time we were coming into the studio, and 4 fighting for survival. My colleague Nanaya Jima joins us on the phone with more. Nana, do we really know what happened?
So the information available to us is that these people had gone into an abandoned pit. This is a pit that was abandoned by one small-scale miner years ago. And that is where the community have often gone there to for their gold hunt. So these young men were among people who had gone to the area to pick some gold, and unfortunately, this pit caved in. And a day after the rescue mission started, and this morning, the RECSEC, led by the Ghana Police Service in Yinahini, were able to retrieve 9 of these people. Out of the 9, 5 were pronounced dead, and their bodies have been deposited at the morgue. Now, 4 of them are still battling for their lives. As before coming on air, the rescue mission is still on. The police service and others are trying to retrieve some people they believe are still buried within this caved pit.
Now, so do we know whether they've retrieved more bodies or more individuals from the collapse pit?
Before we came on air, they hadn't been successful in retrieving more bodies, but rescue mission is still on. It's unclear when they will abandon this rescue effort, but they are still on the ground trying their best to be able to pick more bodies if there are people in there. But it's suspected, but according to some people who were within the area as at the time of the collapse, they claim that there were some more people trapped in there. So rescue efforts are still ongoing. Before coming on air, we were yet to get any community member reporting of a missing relative or so. So, but still, the police service and other rescue team members are still on the ground trying to dig further to find if there are still people buried in there.
Where is this again?
So we are talking about Kototie, which is within the which is here within the Ashanti region.
And we know that 5 of the bodies retrieved are lifeless. Have they been has a doctor really pronounced them dead?
Exactly. They were retrieved by the Ghana Police Service, taken to the hospital for medical examination to be conducted, and they were deposited at the morgue. So medical professionals have declared them dead.
5 of them. Interesting. Grateful to you, Nanayao Jima, there with latest on what's happening in the Ashanti region, where we understand a pit has collapsed, trapping some illegal miners. As of the time we're coming on air, 9 had been retrieved. 5 of them, as you heard there, confirmed dead. Meanwhile, illegal miners and encroachers are operating dangerously close to critical gas pipelines belonging to GRIDCo and VRA. The Energy Committee in Parliament is now calling on national security to intervene. Let's now bring in Collins Adumaku Mensah. He's a deputy ranking member on the Energy Committee of Parliament. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining. Now, you have been doing some work going around to check on these installations. Let us understand what you saw.
Well, good evening to yourself, and thank you for the opportunity. As you know, as part of our mandate, we are to have oversight responsibility over departments within the Energy Ministry and Green Transition, which normally will include the power and the petroleum sectors. We began to visit institutions within the power sector under the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. We started in Accra, did PRC, did Energy Commission, met GRIDCo, VRA, and then we decided to visit their installations. So we went to Akosombo, did Pong, that is the Akuse plants, went all the way to the Northern Region to visit NETCO and its installations, then came to Bui, and then finally ended in Kumasi, where we visited the Angomaso substation. A few things came up. When we had a meeting with GRIDCo, they indicated to us that they're having challenges with Galamsey. Specifically, it had to do with their pylons. You know, most of their pylons are located in the forest areas. These are very tall pylons that host or hold the wires that transmits power from the main Akosombo stations to the other parts of the country. Unfortunately, Galamsey is affecting most of their activities. Indeed, they showed some pictures where Galamseyers are packed deep down where some of their pylons. Aspect is that whenever their officials or engineers and technicians approach those pylons on repair works, they are met with gunshots by some of these Galamseyers. And so it's becoming a challenge to them. And at Bui also, the management of Bui also indicated to us that along the water banks, some Galamseyers are encroaching. And I just listened to you having an interview with the Bole DCE. Don't forget that where Bui is located is close to between Banda and Bole. And so I was not surprised when the DC indicated that some activities of Galamsey is going on, because they indicated to us when we got to Bui that they're having that challenge. So it is true. Galamsey is not only affecting water bodies. As we speak now, it is having a very, very heavy toll on electricity transmission. If we are not careful, we may get to a point where we may be experiencing doomsday, which may not be due to financial reasons, but mainly because of Galamsey.
So in Bole, we could expect the Galamsey happening on the Black River Volta to impact what's happening at Bui. I mean, how dire is the situation then?
Exactly the point. I mean, you've described it very, 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 very aptly. What it is that, Bui takes its water source from the Black Volta. It is the speed of the water that helps the turbines to turn in order to produce electricity. Now we are having a situation where even the color of the water is changing. Don't forget that the turbidity of the water also affects its effect on the turbines. And so they have a water treatment center close to the to the dam. More expensive for them, and when we went there, they have soldiers stationed at Bui, which also increases the cost of doing business for them. We also have the floating solar system. They are the first in West Africa to have this floating solar.
Yeah.
Now, the solar panels floats on the water. And so if you have a situation where Galamsey is also on the water, you should rest assured that solar energy is also going to be affected at Bui. So it's quite a big challenge.
What explanation they gave you, did they indicate to you a possibility of it impacting how much they sell power to Ghana for, and therefore would then impact how much we pay for power?
Well, they did not even need to tell us that. Clearly, what we saw is an indication that the cost of generating power may go up. It's not just about the cost going up. It may get to a point we may not even be able to generate in the first place. Because when Galamsey takes place along the water banks, you should be rest assured that we may not have the quality of water needed to power the turbines. In that case, they will have to shut off at a point in time. That is the difficulty. It's not just about the costs. If we are not careful, we may have a situation where we may not be able to even produce in the first place. In the case of GRIDCo, the pylons are there. Just that you may have power generated from Akosombo, but to transmit the power from Akosombo through their lines to ECG for distribution will be a challenge, because the wires, the pylon that hosts the wires may be destroyed, and so that is where the challenge is. And I think we have decided that we are going to really, really engage the relevant sector ministers to ensure that we quickly look at this particular national security threat.
So from where you stand, Ghanaians should brace up to pay more for power if nothing changes?
I don't think already ECG is requesting for an increment in tariffs. But if you read their briefs, they did not cite Galamsey as one of the reasons why they expect an increment in their tariffs.
But from what you've seen in the future, if nothing changes, we have to brace up to pay for more.
Absolutely. It's not even about paying for more. They may not be even able to produce in the first place. That is the challenge. Because if Wisdom is having challenges, it may not even produce in the first place. So we may not even get to the point of talking about costs. Of course, if we is not producing, we may have to fall on the IPPs or other thermal plants, which may need more fuel, which eventually may cost us more. That is true. But for now, I think the focus for us as a committee is to ensure that we prevent it in the first place. And that is why we are appealing to the sector ministers. And I know my chairman has begun some conversations. We will be making our reports known to the plenary when we resume on the 14th.
I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Collins
Thank you so much, my brother.
Adomako Mensah is Deputy Ranking Member on the Energy Committee of Parliament. Let me now bring in the spokesperson for the Energy Ministry, Richmond Roxon Esquire. Richmond, this is not a new complaint. What have you done about this particular threat? Okay, I'll try and bring in Richmond Roxon first. Okay, Rich, I'm told I have you. Do I have you?
Yes.
Great. So I'm asking, this is not a new complaint. What have you done about this threat so far?
Let me say good evening to you and good evening to your cherished listeners. The ministry has taken notice of these complaints. Over the period, there has been engagement by the Honorable Minister of Energy and Green Transition, together with the Minister of Land, to ensure that the energy infrastructure of this country is protected. I'm sure in the coming days you'll see that both ministers and the Ministry of Interior will be able to go around to ensure that they have first-hand information of what's happening. And some of the measures that have been proposed will be rolled out. Already, the Ministry of Land has increased surveillance. Ordinarily, we don't find security around our energy infrastructure because it's always been safe haven. But since these complaints started coming to, my minister has engaged the Ministry of Interior as well as the Ministry of Land to ensure that we increase surveillance and monitoring. These surveillance, once they are intensified and once you have system monitoring in high-risk communities where our energy infrastructure is stretching, will be able to give us the needed protection. There's also been some suggestions that these areas will be declared as national security zones. And I'm sure the government is taking that into consideration, and over the period that will be done. The most important thing is that the ministry is cognizant of the challenge and working together with other government agencies to ensure that regulation is enhanced, security is enhanced, tracking is done, and then there will be legal enforcement as well to ensure that these facilities are protected.
So, do these protections extend to the ones in the forest, as the ranking member made us aware that some of these pylons are in forest reserves or forest areas where these galamseys are digging under?
Yes, the protection will extend to all places where our energy infrastructure cover. So whether they are in the forest, whether we are on water bodies like the station of Bui or Akosombo, definitely be assured that the requisite security will be provided. Over the next few weeks, I'm sure that you will notice that the ministers will take steps to visit these to get first-hand information. And then the work plan that has been put in place will be rolled out.
So, as we speak, that protection has not gotten to all the places.
So, as we speak, like the ranking member said, once you take a visit there, you begin to have a first-hand information of the extent of the damage. We had a fair idea. This is not the first time. You remember that Ghana Gas also complained, the CEO, and surveillance was increased there. And over the period, I'm not sure you've heard those complaints again. And so there are areas that these protections have been. But every now and then, once you have new discovery, definitely the states will take steps to ensure that our energy infrastructure is protected.
But in the ministry, is it all gloomy as we speak, or there's something happening that will excite Ghanaians?
I didn't get your question.
I'm asking that, is it all gloomy in the power sector, or there's something exciting happening that should excite Ghanaians?
Oh, I'm sure that in the last couple of months, we're all witnesses to the reset that is happening in the energy sector. If you take the power sector, you take the petroleum, that's downstream, upstream, you look at renewable, there are vast improvements from what this administration inherited in January. If you look at the power sector, as of December 2024, we were shedding load of about 700 megawatts. In the last couple of months, there has been zero shedding of power. And that is why we all experience sustainable supply of electricity over the period. There's been several reforms, NETCO, ECG as well. In the last few days, I'm sure you've noticed the report from NETCO that the losses, which as at January stood around 47%, at the end of August stands at 32%. This is as a result of prudent management, collaboration between the management of NETCO, and of Tamalani environment, including the traditional chiefs as well. And then we look at ECG on the lighter note. In recent times, a group that their eyes are hurting as a result of the stable power supply. Beyond that, we've seen procurement reforms. The saga of having over 2,600 containers sitting is a thing of the past. Investigations are still ongoing with that. Beyond that, just last week, the Minister of Energy and Green Transition, together with our partners from Korea and the Ministry of Agri, launched a program that's the Solar Food Nexus to ensure that you are having 1 megawatt in Dawenya, which will also supply irrigation and then also help with the production of food. The action is exciting. Not too long ago, the government of Ghana signed a $1.5 billion investment with ENI and its partners. Before that, there was a $2 billion investment by Cosmos and Jubilee. Aside that, we've had expression of interest from super majors. You have Shell expressing interest in Ghana. You have Chevron expressing interest. You have ExxonMobil as well.
Shell wants, okay, ExxonMobil wants to return.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they've expressed interest. And these conversations are ongoing. The goal when it comes to our action is to ensure that we deal with the declining oil reserves. From 2019 to 2024, practically nothing happened. But in 2025, we've had 2 successful drillings. And so, with all these plans in place, with the vision of His Excellency the President and the sector minister, you are assured that our energy sector will not be what we have seen in the last few years, and that we'll see serious reforms, and then governments will witness what's happening.
Roxanne, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Richmond Roxanne is spokesperson and head of communication at the Energy Ministry. This has been Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel Connecting Energies and also by Shield Pension Trust into the future with you. Up next is Newsnights.